I'd like to change the discussion a little and talk about stress. Being a young person with type 1 diabetes can at times be stressful for some people. The first question in this topic is, school and study is getting stressful on top of managing diabetes. Do you have any tips to manage my stress levels in this situation? I'll throw it open again.
Mindfulness, it's the worst word and you've heard it 100 times through school, but honestly, it's the only thing that I can do to regulate myself enough to be able to compound, like put things in their spots and give them the energy they need. So try to be mindful, calm yourself down, breathe, and do what you can. Don't do everything, do what you can. And that's literally it. You'll get there. Also, school is a very, very big deal, but it's nowhere near as big as they tell you it is. You'll be able to do what you want no matter what happens at the end of year 12. So just do you and be happy. We'll try to be happy.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you lived one day with having type 1 diabetes, you would understand that there is such a balance of things that you need to do. And I think that comes down to also how you're going every day at school and how stress might be involved in that, especially through VCE. So keeping balance with things such as, you know, how are my blood sugar levels today? Have I monitored? Do I at least know where they're at? You know, am I doing a little bit of physical activity? Am I keeping a balanced diet? Am I having enough rest or social time? And am I doing what I need to do to achieve what I want to in VCE? It's a balance of all those things. Yeah.
And I think if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed with school, family, work, whatever the issue might be in your life, it's really helpful. We keep talking about communication, but to me it's really important to come back to talk to somebody, because again, sometimes what we sort of construct in our heads, it does get overwhelming and we fill it with so many things, and it's just helpful to sit down with somebody and perhaps turn things into little chunks so you don't feel like you have to do everything that's going on in your head. You've got kind of like someone who's listening to what's going on for you, and they can help break it down into little bits and do what you can do. And the biggest thing is start with being kind to yourself. Like just really, even if the world isn't feeling kind or good to you, you can be kind to yourself.
Yeah. I was thinking about, as you were talking, that's really true, and sometimes diabetes has helped me manage stress in a strange way, in that I actually have to think to myself, do I have the capacity to feel stressed? Like, do I have more pressing things on my plate? You know, should I be giving myself the space to make sure my blood sugars are right, giving myself the space to breathe and think, and in a weird roundabout way, those things have actually helped me get through stressful times, whereas not the other way around. So we've got another question on the topic of stress. It sounds like quite a stressful situation. I'll just read it as it is. I'm finding it very difficult to settle into a new school where several of my peers constantly ask me if I'm okay, or if I need to tell a teacher as soon as I take out my pump or anything related to my diabetes. I appreciate their concerns, but I find it very hard for others to understand that I am fine, and I don't need their help all the time. It makes it hard to make friends, and I always feel like I'm not a person, and I almost feel like that I'm not a person and that I'm defined by my condition. And yeah, obviously that sounds like it makes it quite difficult to settle in. I suppose we've all had similar feelings at different times in different situations, and I wonder if any of you would like to start by sharing.
How taxing is it throughout the day how people keep nudging you and be like, are you okay? Like, how are you? Oh, is your diabetes okay? Or you're just having a moment with any sort of emotion and someone goes, have you checked your blood sugar level?
That's the one.
It is so infuriating. And especially if you are high, it makes it worse.
You're like, how dare they know?
Yeah. I think what you were saying at the very start of that about you know, this person who submitted this question or this statement of something that's coming in for them, about acknowledging it and then, you know, saying like, I appreciate your concern. That's a really nice way to start that conversation. But then to also say something like, but I'm going to let you know when I need the help, or something like that, and take it back into a place of empowerment that doesn't have to feel awkward. If they don't listen to that, then you can say, look, I appreciate your concern. It's a little bit aggravating that you keep asking me this question. And the best thing that you can do is be honest. I know it's confrontational, but sometimes you can also go the other way of it and say, I'm going to let you know if I need the help.
Yeah.
A follow-on question for me would also be is to the people or the friends who keep asking you is, can you tell me why you feel you have to keep asking me? Like what are you noticing, or what's going on that you think you have to keep asking how I am?
Great question.
It's insanely logical, and I've never thought of it.
Yeah.
I've just had a big aha moment, so sorry.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, we're genuinely curious, because I guess I'm coming from a place of thinking that we're all and young people are becoming adults, but we're all, and I come back to, we live with this 24 hours a day. So when your friends ain't there, you're still managing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, I know what I'm doing. So how come you keep asking me? Like, what is it? You know, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm agreeing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time, you know, it comes from a place where people really are curious and want to understand you better. And, you know, from some of the previous conversations, that sounds like it can be a really positive thing, but it comes across in a way that's maybe not as
not helpful,
polite and helpful for you. So understanding it by asking, I think, is I just had that little aha moment too.
There was one other little point in that segment that you just read out to us, and that is about having an identity with type 1 diabetes. And I think a lot of people will have a mixed relationship with their diabetes and what that means for their identity. Like, I don't go up to a stranger and like, hi, I'm Loui, I'm type 1, and you want to know what that is? Like, no one does that. But then there are some people who like to leave it out of what they associate with their identity. For me, I'm pretty proud to have lived with type 1 for 15 years, and it's given me actually a lot of opportunity, learned how to juggle a lot of stress, and, you know, introduced me to a lot of groups and things like that. So it is something that I am more forward about, you know, relating my identity with, but it doesn't have to be this like, I'm diabetic, and it's like a lot of people choose to say I live with diabetes instead of I am diabetic. For you, that might mean absolutely nothing, and that's okay too. Yeah.
I think, it's been part of my life for so long that it is part of my life. It's not who I am. It's not my identifier.
Yeah.
I've got lots of parts of my life.
Yes.
They all make up who I am, and it is part of it. Yeah.
And sometimes it helps me to, you know, if I do start to feel like, well, hang on, this one part of my life is starting to grow bigger and bigger and take over, you know, part of my identity, just to spend time with the other parts of my life that make me as well, and you know, give them some attention at the same time, and that kind of brings you back to, okay, I'm a whole person.
Yes.
I think that was a really great pickup from that question. So last question about our topic of stress is, who can I talk to if I'm feeling really stressed and really anxious? And we all have different answers for this, but maybe we'll hear from each of us.
I have a few people in my life that I feel very comfortable and safe talking to. I think if you're a teenager, to have a group of, you know, adults especially, or like a particular adult that you feel really safe talking to or that you can trust, that's a really good place to start off with. Sometimes talking to our friends is great, but sometimes it's too much to put onto our friends. And Maria, you would have a lot to say about this with your lived experience. Yeah.
Look, I guess I start with is to talk with people who you feel comfortable with and trust. There is a place for family, friends, but there's also a place for professionals as well. And I think they all offer something different. So you're not necessarily going to have one person who fit, meets every bit of your need around your, managing your type 1 or how you're feeling, etc. So I know for me, I will just, I guess I just pick who I want to listen to about a particular part of whatever it is that's kind of worrying me or going on for me at a point in time. And that might be a friend, it might be my partner, it could be a family member, or it could be a professional. So but definitely seek out support. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Literally, if it's weighing on you, air it, get it out, share it, and then someone might have something that's really helpful up their sleeve. But it's tricky. But I think sharing your feelings or emotions about things is pretty important.
Yeah, figuring out who those people are in your life can be a little bit tricky, but I think over time you do develop, who to talk to at what time and for what thing. Personally, my younger brother also has type 1 diabetes, and that's been a real support for me. He's sort of the go-to when I'm frustrated or anxious. And there are times when you do feel quite overwhelmed or stressed. And it's important to seek out those people, but also to seek out professional help if you need it.
And I might just, on that point, Andrew, you've just kind of reminded me that sometimes when we're feeling stressed and we're feeling overwhelmed, it can actually move into an area where it becomes distress, and that can also feel really overwhelming. And it actually can get in the way of just daily life, whether that means you're not getting out of bed, whether it means you're not leaving your room, or not socialising as much, you're not kind of interacting with your mates via social media, whatever it might be. And in some cases, for some people, that can also lead to thoughts of suicide or deliberate self-harm. And I guess what I want to say about that is that it's actually really normal. So it's not an unusual thing, and it's normal in reaction to what you're dealing with or what's going on for you. So they're normal reactions to have those thoughts. What's really important, though, is to seek support. And certainly if you've got anything at that end of the continuum, I'd be saying preferably professional support. However, if you may have a treating team and then there may be no one in your treating team who you're comfortable with, that's okay. Start with an adult who you feel comfortable with and keep going till you actually find a professional who you feel comfortable with. And I guess the thing I really want to say about all this too is in the moment, it feels like there is no out, like this is it. And what I can promise you is there's a great little phrase that says, and this too shall pass, and it does. So there are, when we start talking, when we start sharing some of those really, yucky kind of thoughts and feelings, things can improve. It doesn't feel like that in the moment, but believe you me, there will be lots of people walking around on the planet who can attest to that things shift and move, and it's about getting the right support and the right fit. So
thank you for that, Maria.
And I think, sorry, just to go back to at the end of the webinar today, my understanding is that there will be numbers that will be listed, and please use those, and you can actually access some of those anonymously too, so you don't have to identify yourself. And I'm really big on, if you're not comfortable saying who you are, that's okay, but just talk to somebody or email somebody. There's all that kind of information, but certainly some form of communication.
To that end, we will put up some numbers at the end of the webinar. But if you do have anything you'd like to talk about, please call Lifeline on 131114. It's available 24 hours, and there's also an option to text someone or chat online if you're not comfortable to talk over the phone. And obviously you can be anonymous as well. So thank you again. And that also sort of prompted another thing in my mind into talking to different people. I've went through a similar process for a different issue, but finding a medical professional that helped me. You know, I had to see a few different endocrinologists, and every time I might leave and go, "Oh, okay, I'll try another one, tried another one, try another one, and then finally got to, you know, to someone that could really help me and feel comfortable with. So finding people that that really help you is important.